Okay, so just try and picture this with me for a second. You've got this vast, sweeping Siberian tundra, huge skies, really dramatic, stretching out forever.
Endless white, yeah.
Exactly. And then maybe a drone shot circling over these snowy plains, and it slowly zooms in right onto the entrance of this, well, massive industrial
A
mine.
very stark contrast.
Totally. Because deep down there, under all that frozen ground, lies this incredible hidden wealth. We're talking about Russia's diamond empire.
It's really reshaped things, haven't it?
Definitely.
Economies, ambitions.
Oh, absolutely. And it keeps raising these big questions, about our future. So that's what we're doing today in this deep dive. We want to give you a shortcut, basically.
We've gone through a whole stack of material docs, reports, you name it.
And we're going to pull out the really important stuff, explore how these frozen treasures were found, what they mean.
We'll track the whole story.
Yeah.
Right from the first discovery, which was back in the early 50s near Yakutsk,
Right.
all the way to these just monumental engineering projects like the Mir Mine.
Ugh, Mir. The name means peace or world, which is kind of ironic, isn't
A
it?
little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Because this huge crater-like pit, it didn't just change diamond mining. It became this um, global symbol of what humans could engineer.
The scale is just, it's hard to wrap your head around. It was the world's deepest open pit diamond mine for a long time, over
yeah.
525 meters deep.
Half a kilometer straight down.
And more than 1.2 kilometers wide. It's like a man-made canyon out there in the tundra.
And it wasn't just about digging, was it? The real challenge was nature itself.
Oh, yeah.
Those temperatures plummeting to minus 50 Celsius in winter. Think about that.
Minus 50. Gosh.
And the research even talks about these thermal updrafts coming out of the pit, like a giant chimney effect, basically.
Strong enough to affect helicopters flying nearby? Seriously?
Yep, strong enough to potentially be dangerous for helicopters near the landing pads.
Yeah.
It just shows you the extreme forces at play.
It's a place where, I read one miner saying this, frostbite is real. You can just imagine the human effort, the fortitude needed to work there.
Day in, day out. Incredible. And Mir isn't alone, right? Alrosa, the big Russian diamond producer, runs several huge mines there. Udaknaya, Nilirbinskaya.
Right, across this massive region.
And all together, these operations pump out, what, about 25 to 30% of the world's entire diamond supply.
A huge chunk. So these Siberian diamonds, they end up traveling all over the globe.
Antwerp, Tokyo, high-end jewelry stores everywhere. Some fetch millions.
So, okay, that's the setup. It's this incredible story, but it immediately presents this this powerful paradox, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Human achievement, technical brilliance.
Set against this backdrop of, well, real ecological strain, it makes you ask, how do you balance that? Wealth and care, especially somewhere so extreme.
That's the core question, really. And to get at it, we need to rewind a bit. Go back to the beginning in the 1950s.
Okay, so where does this story really kick off?
Well, you have to imagine Soviet geologists in the post-war era just relentlessly searching Siberia for mineral wealth.
Right.
We've seen some old footage, prospectors in these snowbound expeditions really battling the elements, the remoteness. You can feel their determination.
And it paid off. 1955, near Yakutsk. That's when they found the kimberlite pipe that would become Mir.
And it was immediately obvious this is something different, something huge. This pit was going to dwarf anything before it. It really did redefine the whole game of diamond mining.
And pretty quickly, that whole remote area just transformed, didn't it?
Into a complete hive of activity.
Yeah.
Building the mine, the town, the logistics alone. In that climate, at that time, it was just unprecedented.
Let's unpack Mir a bit more. It really did become this global symbol of mining power. When you see modern aerial shots,
It's breathtaking.
those giant trucks look like toys down there, cranes suspended over the edge. It's immense.
And money there, it wasn't just size, it was the permafrost. That was the unique engineering puzzle.
Right, the ground's frozen solid, most of the year anyway.
But then the mining itself introduces heat,
Mm-hmm.
machinery, activity, and that stable frozen ground. It can start to thaw, turn into this unstable, dangerous sludge.
So you're literally working against nature, trying to melt the ground beneath you.
Exactly, it's a constant battle.
And those thermal updrafts you mentioned, creating air currents strong enough to push helicopters around.
Yeah, imagine being a pilot trying to land near that massive pit, feeling the air itself pushing back. It really drives home how extreme it all was, almost defiant.
Which brings us back to the people. Minus 50 degrees C, how did they even function?
Well, heavily fortified machinery, obviously, heated camps, but mostly just constant, relentless vigilance.
You hear those accounts, right? Like that miner saying, you wake, suit up, there's no small talk when frostbite is real. It paints such a stark picture.
Just the daily reality. Brutal.
But beyond just surviving the cold, what about the psychological side? Working in that kind of isolation, that danger.
Oh, it's huge. The sources talk about it. The isolation, the constant battle with the elements, the extreme shift work.
Yeah.
It definitely forged a unique kind of resilience.
A certain toughness, I imagine.
For sure. And a deep camaraderie, born from sharing that hardship. But also, underneath, this constant sense of being on edge. It really shows human adaptability, but maybe its limits too.
And all this incredible human effort, it supports this massive global industry. Alrosa, we mentioned them.
Russia's largest diamond producer, yeah.
They oversee Mir, but also other giants like Udaknaya and Yerba. And together, they're feeding, 25 to 30%?
That's the figure, yeah. A quarter to nearly a third of all diamonds traded globally start right there.
And it's quite a journey for those stones, isn't it? From these, frozen holes in the ground.
For auction houses in Antwerp, gleaming display cases in Tokyo or New York. Some fetching millions, as you said.
But that wealth, it doesn't just vanish into the global market. It must have a huge impact on the local communities, right? The mining towns in Yakutia.
It does, definitely. The sources point to significant infrastructure development, new roads, schools, clinics popping up, funded by diamond money. Direct investment.
So definite benefits, jobs, opportunities.
Yes, but it's complex. You get the classic boomtown effect, lots of workers fly in, which changes the social dynamics of communities that have been there for a long time.
And that dependency on one resource,
Yeah.
It creates vulnerability, right? What happens when production slows down or prices dip?
Exactly. It's that boom and bust cycle risk, which leads us, I think, to the environmental side of things.
Yeah, that's the other side of the coin. Open pit mining on this scale, it inevitably leaves scars. Big ones.
You're talking massive deforestation to clear the sites. Wildlife corridors get disrupted.
And then there are the tailings ponds, these huge reservoirs of leftover rock dust and chemicals from processing the ore.
Which is a challenge anywhere, but add in the permafrost issue.
Right, because when that permanently frozen ground thaws, things get unstable.
Precisely. Those massive waste piles can shift. And there's a risk, highlighted by environmental scientists in the research, of chemicals leaching into rivers and groundwater.
With long-term consequences that we might not even fully understand yet, it's a serious concern, often kind of hidden from view.
So the big question becomes, how is the industry responding? Is anything being done?
Well, that was actually a standout point in some of the sources. It seems Alrosa and maybe some international partners are getting more proactive.
Trying to mitigate the damage.
Yeah, things like working to stabilize the pit walls and those tailings dams, monitoring water quality much more rigorously. They're even experimenting with reforestation, trying to get things to grow back in that harsh tundra.
Okay, so it's not just digging and leaving. There's an effort towards stewardship.
It seems that way. One report quoted the company's environmental head talking about automated water treatment, plans for gradual land restoration. It's an acknowledgement, at least, of the footprint.
And that ties into this idea of smart mining that kept coming up, doesn't it?
Right, which isn't just about being more efficient, finding diamonds faster.
No, it's about using tech for other things too. Drones for detailed surveying, AI to optimize the whole mining process.
And even things like blockchain, apparently, to track the diamonds meticulously, from the moment they come out of the ground right to the final seller.
So the idea is transparency, traceability.
Exactly. As one documentary put it, the goal is moving towards not just ethical, traceable gems, but also fostering a deeper respect for the land, using tech for responsibility, basically.
Which brings us full circle, really.
Yeah, so as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, let's circle back to that core paradox we started with, these Russian diamond mines. They really do represent this powerful duality, don't they?
On one hand, incredible symbols of human willpower, engineering genius, pushing limits.
And on the other hand, this undeniable ecological tension, this constant negotiation with an extreme environment.
And the diamonds themselves, originating in these, sub-zero depths. They carry that whole complex story with them.
A story of relentless innovation, sure, but also the human drive for wealth. And now, increasingly, this evolving, maybe more anxious relationship we have with the planet.
It's all packed into that tiny, brilliant stone.
So maybe the final thought for you listening to all this. What does that journey, a diamond going from deep beneath Siberia to ending up in a jewelry case somewhere, what does that really represent to you about how we consume resources globally, about our responsibilities?
And maybe How might this future of smart mining, these efforts towards deeper respect for the land, how might that change the value we place on these treasures?
Yeah.
Beyond just the price tag, you know?
Yeah. What's the true cost and the true value? Something to definitely mull over.